Brother Nathaniel, we want to thank him for letting us come in here. He had a great idea about getting you guys in here. And so the reason we do this is so you guys can have interaction with the police in a positive setting. In a setting where we're not policing, we're just being like one of y'all. Chief Britton has given us the opportunity to do stuff like this. He's been on board since day one.
Yeah, so again, thank you for having us. As Sergeant Sutherland said, he came to me a little over a year ago with this idea, and he said, "What do you think?" I said, "Let's roll with it." And now we're here a year later already. So thank you to everybody that's helped facilitate this so far, the different places that we've been, and of course, again, being here today. And can't say enough for Sergeant Sutherland sticking with this and his passion and desire for us to have this interaction and be able to come out here and be a part of this and hear what you guys got to say. So thank you, and thank you, Pastor Collins.
Absolutely. So at this point, obviously, just go ahead and let's just take off. And he'll catch up.
All right. Welcome to this first Teen Talk session here with this partnership of the Gaston County, or Gastonia City Police Department in this barbershop session. We want to welcome all of you guys that are here, those of you that are listening, the parents that are in the room. My name is Ricky Collins. I'm executive pastor at Tabernacle Church, and I'm excited to have this conversation with the teens that's led by teens. I'm just doing an introduction, but we're going to kind of let the teens take it off. The purpose of today's session really is to talk about mental health from a teenage perspective, and I've got some wonderful panelists. I'm going to have them introduce themselves. Starting to my right, we have
Sebastian. I'm from Ashford.
All right, awesome. You guys can put your mask down as you talk so we can understand what you're saying. So we got Sebastian from Ashbrook.
Yeah, my name is Maud. I go to Highland.
All right.
Abby from Gaston Christian.
All right.
Prince Levon representing Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah, so we got some wonderful panelists that are going to talk a little bit about mental health from their perspective. Let's just throw this question out. You guys ready to get started? Let's have one just fun question. One fun fact. Who's the best high school right now in Gaston County as it relates to anything fun? I'm so sad that they didn't represent their own school.
I can say for right now, mine, Ashbrook.
Ashbrook, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna have to go to Ashbrook.
Ashbrook.
Yeah,
It's not my school.
I can't even say too much. I didn't go to school in Gaston County.
All right, that was a fun question. We get that out. All right, so let's get down to the nitty gritty. When it comes to the term mental health, what does that mean for you, where you are? Like, what's the definition of mental health?
I guess for me, like mental health is just like your headspace, like how you feel in terms of just how you thinking. Like, are you in a good headspace? Are you positive? You feel down, low? Just how you feel there.
Yeah, overall, the vibration that you're operating in, where your energy is, how you feel when you interact with people, how your energy rubs off on them. You know what I mean? I feel like it all correlates with your headspace.
For me, for my mental health is just I wake up every day, see my people, and just try to have a positive attitude in my headspace. Just being able to function really is just a blessing to have. To be able to do that every day. That's why I get mental health.
Mental health for me is having a positive effect on my senses and my emotions.
Okay. You guys mentioned the terminology headspace. What gets a person in a positive headspace?
Being at peace with yourself and knowing yourself, knowing how to control your world, controlling your reality. And I think people often make the mistake of feeling like controlling your reality is controlling everything around you, and it's not. You know what I mean? Like being responsible in the sense of knowing how to have a counter or a reaction or a solution to problems that you might encounter that you can't control. Because it's a lot of things that go on in life that we can't control, the mistakes that are made, the things that happen that we literally have no way of stop it before they happen. You just have to have a response. And I think it's just about having the right response and not letting it negatively impact your energy and your aura and your vibration.
What can I add to that is just my experience. I've always been trying to control things like he said, instead of being able to control everything. Just let things happen, just let it flow, don't let it affect your energy. I learned that really past this year, that sometimes you gotta have healthy mental space to just let things flow, just try to overcome what just flow with it.
I guess for me to be in a positive headspace is learning to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So this past year, learning that you can't control everything. Because for me, I've always controlled everything in my life. From what I want to wear to where I want to go to school. I've always felt in control. But this past year has felt literally so uncontrollable from waiting on other people to make decisions for me. So I guess headspace is just being comfortable with where you're at and knowing that you can't control everything.
For me, it's a day-by-day thing. Every morning when I wake up, I kind of reset my headspace. And it's based on how I wake up and the attitude I have when I wake up. Sometimes the music I listen to, or a book or a verse that I read that morning. That kind of just sets me up for the day. It's day-by-day.
Man, I didn't want to get into it this early, but since you mentioned it, music. How does music create a good headspace? Or better question, does music create a good headspace, and what type of music would you recommend to create that good headspace?
I feel like it absolutely affects your headspace, and it can help be, something that gets you back into a positive headspace, just depending on the space that you're in. And there's different types of music that serve different purposes. I feel like music is everything is vibrations. We made up of, I think the numbers is 87% water. So sound and all of that affects the vibrations inside you. So listening to something that, if you're mad or if you're sad and you want to be happy, listening to something with a positive vibration, a high vibration, something that'll make you feel good and, more energetic, could help you out of a negative headspace or a negative energy that you're in. Because sometimes you can be feeling the type of way and don't necessarily know why. I feel like music is definitely therapeutic in its own way.
Absolutely.
So for me, I listen to music all the time. For you to see me without AirPods in my ear or music in the car is very rare. And so sometimes how I go to sleep is not how I wake up. I might be vibing going to sleep, but when I wake up, it's a bad mood. So that music that I was listening to last night, I can't listen to today and expect the same results from yesterday. So sometimes you got to change up what music you listen to, and sometimes what genre. Because sometimes I just want to chill. I don't really want to listen to the words. It's just the beats and the rhythm. And then some days I just want to sing along. So it's really what music you listen to, and then I will say it does have an impact on the day you have.
So should I have? Is there a correlation between a certain genre of music and a positive or negative headspace feel that results from it? A lot of people, and let's just keep a spade a spade. So a lot of people feel that hip hop or certain genres of hip hop will bring upon a negative vibe versus a positive vibe. And I just want to hear from you guys. And this conversation for you guys too. If you guys have any thoughts, let me know as well. It's not just for the panelists, but I love to hear your thoughts on that from a teenager perspective. Do you feel that there's certain genres of music that causes negative headspace versus positive headspace?
For me, yeah, 100%. I think, not right now, it's changing, but, probably a year or two ago, the big thing was rappers, hip hop artists was, kind of in a way, what's the word, kind of appreciating drugs in a way, you know what I'm saying? Making it okay to, praising it, yeah, just being okay for you to, do certain drugs, be cool with it, but in reality, that's not it. They should be doing the opposite, trying to change the culture of, being okay with certain things that can affect your body. That's what I think. They can't be used to be negative, but I think now it's just it's being used to be positive a lot. To me, I can relate to music when I'm sad. The big thing for me is music that people have gone experiences that I've been through. That's what I can relate to. I listen to a lot of Kendrick, a lot of J. Cole, because they speak truth, like we just talked about earlier. They just speak the truth about what we go through. That's what makes me, in my mental health, kind of just, be okay and grow. It's good.
Nah, it's dope, and I want to build on what you said. I definitely want to, commend you for saying that, like, referring to the artists that have, like, actual substance in their music. You know what I mean? Like, they are intentional with making sure that the music that they make caters to an audience in a way that they can connect to mentally and emotionally rather than just hype-wise. And I feel like that was, and it still is, like, that's a major thing right now as far as people making music. Like, they get away from the substance and being able to bond with your listener through an experience that you have that they might be able to connect to. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like listening to an artist like that, we tend to trauma bond with them in a way. And I feel like that's what makes music or a certain type of music therapeutic, depending on the headspace that you're in. You're actually able to trauma bond with the artist, whatever they're talking about, you can connect to, and it just makes you feel like you're not by yourself. Or those thoughts that you might be having, you're not crazy for having. You know what I mean? Like this.
That's good.
Yeah, then to see people like on top of the world, as we see it, they have the same experiences that you have.
Well, for me, I'm an athlete on a track. So when it comes to rap music, like I might listen to a song that could typically be about drugs or shooting or gang violence, but it's mainly just the energy in it that hypes me up for a run. Like I could listen to it and not want to do those drugs and not want to partake in that activity, but not everybody's the same. Somebody else might listen to that music and be influenced and think, oh, well, my favorite rapper's doing it, so I should try it. So it's all about the maturity of the listeners.
Facts.
Wow, that's good. So then maturity, as it relates to mental health, can play a part in music therapy. And I was gonna kind of turn to my wonderful friends over here from Phoenix, because music therapy is definitely a known treatment for mental health. Am I saying that right? Like, can you speak a little bit on music therapy and what it involves? A little bit, maybe, perhaps. Yes, please.
So, I think, first of all, I commend you guys for being so vocal and coming out here just to even talk about mental health. Because as you're aware, especially in the community of African Americans, mental health is something that we don't talk about. You understand? Growing up, we were taught what stays in this house remains in this house. So a lot of times we are emotionally shut down. We don't allow to have emotional compass. And a lot of times, particularly with African American males, or even if you're not African American males, or you grew up in a household where you're a single parent or have a mother with an alpha personality, you are told to man up. And I'm saying that because I said that to my own sons, that you're not supposed to cry. And a lot of times when we say that, we are suffocating you to be authentic and also suffocating you emotionally, because sometimes you don't connect with people.
Right.
Okay? So that's one thing. I commend y'all acknowledging what mental health is. All of you guys were on point when it talked about mental health, and I just want to add a component to that, because as you said, I think some of you both basically said it was a state of well-being. When we talk about mental health, is how an individual realizes his or her ability to cope with life stressors. Everybody's stressor is different. You know, some people may be having stressors at home, stressors at school, but at the end of the day, it will affect your mental health, okay? Now, what we did not talk about, what is the difference between mental health and mental illness? Do you guys know what the difference between those are?
Ooh, great question.
I'm gonna guess and say mental health is more so pertaining to like what headspace a situation might put you in. Now mental illness, like you start getting into like bipolar disorders and anxiety and stuff like that, like actual ailments that you have, or that might not necessarily have came from experience, but might be genetic.
Maybe depression too.
You know what I mean? Depression, I think, is more so like mental health than mental illness. But I mean, I don't know, it kind of all fall under the same.
Like sometimes it could be like, you correct me if I'm wrong, could it be passed down?
We call that predisposition. You're absolutely right.
So it could be passed down, which could be, I think it could result in like something even way worse,
Yeah.
But then at what point do you differentiate between it being a mental illness and just a mental health headspace type thing?
Probably the level.
Well, I see mental illness is where your mental is not functioning properly. And it's where your mind is just not healthy. You are ill. People think that they're not, but people have mental illnesses and don't even know. So I feel like there is a difference between the both. But overall, I just think it's where your mental is not functioning properly.
And I think you hit it, both of you, all you guys were correct. But I think when you stated that mental illness, it's about a condition involving change in emotion, thinking, and behavior, okay? And it also talks about, being distressed, how people problem functions and stuff. You asked about it being within families or we say that as being predisposition. Like, for example, a mood disorder. What is a mood disorder? That's bipolar disorder. What is a psychotic disorder? That's our people who have schizoaffective disorder. So sometimes those type of disorders are passed down through generations, okay? Depression, anxiety, those too can be passed down, but that comes from how we perceive things that happens in our life that can cause us anxiety. Like, for example, some people in here, when you have to take national examinations, you probably have test anxiety. I'm the first one to raise my hand because I hate standardized tests, but I get test anxiety, real bad test anxiety. And some people get depressed, easily. Like some people, when it was for me, I lived in New York and it was 9/11. The whole thing of 9/11 had me really not only having anxiety, but depression because I happened to work in that building that collapsed. So for me, that day, my daughter happened to be late for school. So I didn't walk through like I usually do at 8:45. But the fact that I matter is that life stressors dictate sometimes how we feel mentally in that mental headspace. Right. So you can have toxicity and you can have positivity. Now this is where we talk about music. Does music play an important part in helping you with mental health? Absolutely, but it can also be a negative component as well. That's when we talk about toxicity, the toxic of the music being pumped into your mind, because then you start believing the false perceptions of what some of these people, a lot of you guys listen to rap music, so the false perception of what the lives that they're trying to portray on the music, that they're really not. And when you're not in a good space, then you start to believe that as their truth and see it as your truth. Right. And it's not really your truth. It's not even their truth. You understand? And you said Kendrick Lamar, which happened to be one of my favorites. And you also J. Cole, which happened to be one. I have sons too.
Hey,
I got a 23-year-old and 25.
And Kendrick should be writing us a check.
Yeah, we're giving him some promotion. But when we talk about, music, I think I wanted to hit this. I had to look at my notes when I was writing down. The benefit of like music, it's like the brain chemistry, such as dopamine, when it's linked to the feeling of pleasure, is also called oxytocin, which is the bonding of the music. So that's why y'all bond to the music like they're saying, you can relate to it. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah. Well, I've got a question from that. So she mentioned experiences that causes anxiety. We've been using that word. Can I get a nice, wonderful high school teenage definition of anxiety? What do you guys feel anxiety?
I feel like anxiety is overly worrying about how a situation may turn out, to the point where you live under the stress of a situation that hasn't even happened yet, because you're so, I don't even know how to describe it. Like you're so bent on it in the worst way that the situation could possibly play out. Like I have anxiety and I deal with it a lot. I have anxiety. I'm having anxiety right now. but yeah, bro, you get too caught up in living in the future. But ultimately, and this comes with like she was saying earlier, like maturity. You ultimately have to get to a space where you realize you don't have any choice but to live in the now. Living in the past creates depression, living in the future creates anxiety. So it's like you just have to be a master of your space, a master of your reality, and realize that you can only control what's happening in the environment and in the moment that you're living in that very moment. Not what's behind you, not what's in front of you. that's how I personally try to cope with my anxiety and you know, stay out of that headspace, if you want to call it that.
Gotcha.
So like for me, I have really bad social anxiety. So no matter where I go, like I hate being in a room full of people. And so even last night we had dinner with my family. It's family, and I still like I'm stressed the whole time. Like I just can't do it. So for me, my definition of anxiety is just like stresses that I won't go in a restaurant if I have to go inside. Like I will only go through a drive-thru because there's less people I have to talk to. You know?
Wow.
And I'm really trying to get out of it, but that is hard, man.
That's really funny because okay, so because I know you personally, and you're very personable.
And see, no one believes me when I say that.
Right, I'm really like, really?
So like,
So how you-
small groups.
How are you able, how are you able to control it, knowing that that's who you are?
Yeah. So, well, for me, it's probably not the best answer, but I just don't do it, you know? So, I can stand in front of a large group of people because I can't see anybody, so it doesn't make any difference. But like here, I can see everybody's face, everybody's eyes, and it's stressing me out, you know? So if it was up to me, I wouldn't have done this. But, you know, I'm glad I did it because now that I'm here, I get comfortable. And I realized, oh, it really wasn't that bad, but just pushing myself to do it. So saying yes to stuff that you don't want to do sometimes is my answer to social anxiety.
Gotcha. Okay. That's good. That's good. Any other questions to that? Answers to that anxiety?
Anxiety for me is just worrying about the future. Like I'm never nervous to speak in front of people or meeting people. You know, I'm not really that type of person. But right now in my junior year of high school, I worry all the time about college and my future, my career, and it just obsesses my mind. That's another thing. With anxiety, it's the things that obsess my mind and just completely take over. And then I'm not focused on anything else but that for like days and days at a time. But that's my anxiety.
Well, like to add to that, my anxiety, which I deal with like all my life, is just like I always try to like, what's the word, like appease to others, like always help them out. Like I'm a very like helpful like person. Like I always want to fix people's problems, and when I'm not able to, you know, it's a big problem of mine. I freak out. I have anxiety because I feel like I'm letting people down every day, like my friends or my family, to an extent which I didn't grow up with, like, you know, type of family. I look to my friends about, so when I like fail them or I can't help them, that's my anxiety. Luckily, this year it made me realize I can't control everything. I can't help everyone who doesn't want to be helped. Right. And what I deal with that is just, you know, if I'm having a really bad day, I go work out, listen to music, you know, talk to somebody, let it out. I always knew deep down never to keep it in. Right. Try to talk to somebody close.
That's something else, like even especially if you're dealing with people that you know, like you have deep relationships with, you can talk to them. Like a lot of people, I know me personally, like I'll even get anxiety from that. I don't want to feel like a burden to somebody, especially when and I have a way of diminishing my problems, regardless of how severe they might be always, because I know it's somebody that got it worse than me. So I don't ever want to go to somebody feeling like I'm being ungrateful of what I might have. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to seem like that, and I don't want to seem like a burden. So you can end up keeping a lot of things to yourself, bottling up things that don't need to be bottled up, and making yourself mentally ill because you don't have a way to release those toxins that's inside of you. So don't do that.
And adding to that, like you just said, you were surprised when I told you I had social anxiety. So everyone has this image of, I think we all have an image of people. And so like everyone has an image of me. That's good. And I have the complete opposite of what everyone sees. And so like trying to not only maintain that image, but also be true to yourself causes anxiety sometimes. But you gotta be able to like get it out while not ruining your reputation. You know, like I'll tell my mom everything, but sometimes I can't tell her when I'm going through stuff because she still sees me in the way that she sees me. And so it's hard to be honest with her or even people like friends and stuff, because they all have that image.
There's a word for that. It's called imposter syndrome. Have you heard of that before?
No.
Basically, like how you just described, you have a way that you view yourself, and then you have a way that people perceive you. But there's always a constant fear that the person that you actually are, that you might not want people to see you like under that light. There's always a fear of you slipping up and people actually get to see a glimpse into your insecurity. It's called imposter syndrome. That's a real thing.
So can I? Okay, I'm older, so I'm gonna think back to my high school years. You know what used to trip me out and give me so much anxiety when people would ask me right around my senior year is, where you going to school?
Oh my God.
Oh, it was horrible. Like, I was like, well, y'all stop asking me that. Like, I'm still trying to figure it out. Like, but you have to feel, I totally get where you're coming from. It's almost like you got to have this answer. And so a lot of us, even if we haven't even applied for school, what I'm thinking about going to Duke and Carolina's on my list. And so we start picking all the high schools just so we can have this positive perception. Meanwhile, at the back of my head, it's like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know I'm gonna get in. And that kind of thing. I want to go to the audience real quick. So, what are some things that you guys get anxious about? It might be a good thing for you guys to talk. I don't know. You might get some. I don't know. Let's see.
Failing school.
What?
Failing school.
Failing school. That can be anxious. Yeah. Okay. What else? We got an athlete. You didn't think I remember who you were, did you? Come here for a second. What's your name? Samaya is a phenomenal basketball player. Samaya, right? All right, Samaya is a wonderful basketball player. Do you ever get scared on the court?
Sometimes.
What scares you on the court?
Like when they tell me stuff, I'm scared.
So how do you deal? So, because, it's got to be, how old are you? She's 12 and she has basketball skills of a 20-year-old. So you're 12, everybody expects you to be this wonderful basketball phenomenon. Does that ever mess with you at all? How do you deal with that? That's some pressure. You just go and do it. So do you listen to, what do you do? What's your pregame format? You're in basketball season now. What's your pregame format? Somebody just go out there and play. Thank you so much. You're so awesome. She goes out there and just plays. She's a phenomenal basketball player. I always wanted. So we're in track season, Abby. There's got to be a certain level of pressure going into a meet. How you doing?
I just had a scrimmage on Thursday, and it was just a scrimmage, but I was so nervous. And then again, my dad is my coach, and he's also the team coach. And there's a bit of pressure there. It doesn't bother me that much, but there is a bit of pressure, and I try to work hard and do my best. But on meet day, I still feel extremely nervous. So that's why I try to just listen to music, try and stay relaxed, get someone by myself, and just get my mental together.
How do we get out of the imposter syndrome? How do we? Because I think those of us who want to be successful, we want to be successful. I think there's no one in here that says, I want to flunk. Right. There's no one in here that says, I don't want to accomplish things in life. I think all of us want to be successful, but how do we get out of the imposter syndrome and be willing to talk about some of the things that we're anxious about? If we look in the media today, we've seen tons of people who have, we see the results of not talking. We see the results of being depressed or being anxious and not communicating that with someone. Right. I believe, just a few, we know about Miss America, we knew about a couple of other media personalities. They had it all. They had a great life. They had money. They had fame. They had, so it was. In my opinion, and I'm not medical, but I think that they had an image to maintain, that they weren't able to talk about certain things that was bothering them. And so they didn't feel like they had an out. How do we overcome the imposter syndrome?
I feel like a lot of it, bro, and this is it's hard, especially, growing up. You're easily susceptible to a lot of things that you may see. We take in a lot, we absorb a lot. As we grow, we're really sponges. But I feel like a lot of the reason we're so uncomfortable with being ourselves is because how the judgmental side is so easy for us to see. And social media is a prime example of that. We operate and we live a lot of our everyday lives on social media, seeing what this person got to say about you, who didn't like your post, who just viewed your story, even when you go down to like your explore page, you seeing different quotes and stuff pop up about what you like. I know everybody go through that. Like you ever go through something and then as soon as you start going through it, a bunch of stuff on your explore page just start popping up about what you're going through.
Yeah.
It's like, you feel me?
Right.
But even to that, you gotta realize you dealing with people and you looking at things that have been said by people who ain't even figured life out for themselves yet. So you really you taking counseling from people who are as confused as you are. You know what I mean? They just think they got it figured out. Like social media really ain't nothing but a platform where a bunch of people who don't know themselves go to sound smart. So you can't, you know what I mean? Like you can't take that into consideration as far as like your growth and your development and how comfortable you are with yourself. So aside from just moving social media out the way and like eliminating that as a defining part of your life and your character, just being comfortable in your skin, learning yourself, and learning that everybody ain't gonna appreciate you for you, and knowing that somewhere in the world you have a tribe, and being willing to be by yourself until you find that tribe, and be unaccepted until you find that tribe that appreciates you and understands you, because in a way they are you. You know what I mean? Like you're never going to be perfect in anybody's eyes. The only way for you to be perfect or completely accepted in another person's eyes is to literally be them, and you can't do that.
To add on to that, man, going back to the sports thing, like for me, I mean, my boy Melo, he can attest. I used to play ball at Ashbrook for 2 years, and only some knows the story, but I got, going to my third year, I quit. And the reason for that was, you know, family issues, but the main reason is because the pressure of it, like the pressure of, you know, being an athlete, you know, there's so much trying to fulfill. Like, for me, I'm a way happier person because I accepted that I wasn't in love with the game, in love with the pressure no more. Like, the pressure was for me, it was mentally exhausting. Like, I was being depressed because I wasn't fulfilling people's needs. People were judging me. People to this day judge me for quitting, and no one knows that it was just mentally exhausting. Like, to this day, like some days I didn't want to get out of bed. Some days I didn't want to talk to nobody. And that pressure that he explained, like people viewing you, really affected me because like I'm the type to always have a smile on my face no matter what, even having a bad day. When it came to the sport, the thing I love to do, it turned to something else. And for me to finally let it go and accepting it, like for me, acceptance is a big thing. It gave me peace of mind. Like I tell my boy, like every day, I'm sorry I can't be out there with you, but trust me, like I'm in the peace of mind and not having that pressure on me. It's not meant for me.
Right. Having comfortability. I didn't cut you off, but I was just saying like having comfortability and be disciplined to accept that about yourself and be at peace with it.
Yeah, so I played golf all 3 years out of high school except for this year. And I kept going back and forth between quitting or playing. And I just didn't want to tell my coach. That was really the only decision. I had come to the mindset that it wasn't for me, you know, and going to practice every day, spending all that time in practice and not seeing the growth that I should have or wanted to, it was draining. And so doing that every day for like a whole 3 months, I couldn't keep doing that. So being accepted, being okay with saying, hey, this is not for me, and learning, okay, I gotta do what's best for me, rather than keeping that image of, oh, you gonna play golf, you know. And then 2, I was the only black kid in what felt like the entire conference. So going to every match and not seeing anybody that looked like you, like that alone is stressing. So putting yourself first.
So taking that step is very self-worthy.
Yeah. That's the
It
hardest
takes,
step.
it takes a lot to take that step, trust me.
Right.
I think that anyone, and I want to give a gift out to the 2 in the audience that actually spoke up. So I told you guys my gifts up that you speak up. So come here, Shamaya, and what's your name? Jalen. Y'all come here. I got these are like LED lights. Like you guys can hook up your room and put it around your room, and your room like show like different colors. I don't know why that's such a fad now. Y'all got lights in your room
Bro,
too?
it's such a vibe.
Is that what it is?
I want to put some in my bathroom.
Like my son has his whole room like it's like the blue room, and then we got like a little game room. He's got it in the game room, and it changes colors to the beat of the music, and
It'll change your mind though.
Y'all need a projector. There's a new one came out. That thing blasted the whole universe in your
Put stars in your room.
Bro, there's a shower one that plays music while they go. Bro, I'm telling you, man.
They like that. They like that.
Will this help with our anxiety if we put some LEDs in the movies at the time?
It would.
It would. Play some music, the beat, he goes in and out with the lights. It go hard. Yeah, a little party room.
That's funny. You guys mentioned, the two of you mentioned about having to basically take time, and I think that is very, very mature in your development and understanding what you can and cannot take. What things that are, you know what, as much as I wish I could do this, the pressure and what it's putting my body through, I can't necessarily do that. There are a lot of artists, there are a lot of athletes, there are a lot of academically gifted people who feel that. It's like the pressures of success. How do you deal? Because again, I said everyone wants to be successful.
Right.
But every level of success comes with its own level of pressure. If you're going to be the greatest, like if any, I don't know how many high schoolers are there. Any D1 athletes? Yeah, D1 athletes, I don't know. Recruiting for D1? Future, definitely futuristic D1 athletes. It's coming. All right, you don't feel the pressure now, but it's coming. I'm hoping you're gathering all this stuff so you can be like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna be in a good headspace. I'm gonna be a good. You know, it's hard to be in a good. Junior high. Junior high. Oh boy, that was old. Middle school. Excuse me. I'm gonna stop talking so I can stop saying my age. Middle school now? Are you middle school yet? Okay. So middle school. So when you get from middle school to high school, it's gonna feel a little different in performing because once you get to a certain level, it comes with a certain level of pressure. Here's my question: if you're going to be successful, what are some ways that you maybe are able to rid yourself of anxiety versus, you know, taking yourself out of it? How do you talk to people? Like, how do you find the courage to talk to people about the anxiety that you're feeling? Because there's got to be a way that you can release in order to continue to be successful at that particular level.
I feel like it's not just necessarily about releasing, more so than it is understanding the type of demon that you're dealing with. Because it's different levels of stress that come with the path to success, depending on like what you're trying to pursue. But I mean, it all comes down to the same fundamentals. It's stresses that are going to come from things that you want to do, that you don't necessarily have to do, and it's stresses that are going to come from things that might not necessarily, like they might really be just a part of the process that you're going to have to push through regardless of whether you're disciplined enough to stay away from the BS or not. So it's really just about separating those two things and knowing like, okay, what is this thing that's stressing me out that I can really just remove and not have to worry about and not be distracted by, versus those things that you have to take into consideration like, dang, is my goal or whatever road to success that I'm taking right now really worth my peace in this way?
Ooh,
you know what I mean?
Good, yeah.
It's really just being able to distinct the two from each other because it's a difference. You know what I mean? It's just about being able to step back from the situation and really get a clear point of view, because you can't rely on people. You know what I mean? You may go to somebody and they not be able to give you the insight that you need, or you might not have anybody to go to at all. So at the end of the day, you ultimately have to be in a space where you're comfortable enough with yourself to evaluate your life like that. You know what I mean?
He was speaking to people who like don't have somebody to talk to, but I guess from my perspective, sometimes you got to find somebody, number one, that's on your level, like your peer, to tell you what your goal is, and then if they see something in you, sometimes other people see what you can't see. So I've got one person I tell as a peer, and I've got somebody who's like a grown-up, you know, in position of authority that can help me get to where I'm trying to get to. And sometimes they see the change before you see it. Like they can see something's bothering you, even if you don't say it. And when they say something that you can tell they know what's going on, be honest with them. Like talk to them. Don't clamp back up. Just tell them what's going on.
What I call that person, that's like, I call them the one, like, for me, the one is my two best friends who are they, you know, like, yeah, I know friends can be, you know, a double-edged sword, as you say, but that's a risk you got to really take to you know, see if they're worthy or not. Like for me, my friend friend Natalie, like she's always been there. She always can tell that when something's wrong, and I don't admit it. Like I can just, you know, dump everything, and she'll tell me straight up with no remorse. You know, like either it hurts me or not, what I need to do. I look towards my people, my friends. You know, like, but I hold a tight knit group. Like you have to have people that they're willing, you know, to be there no matter what. You know, don't judge. Like I feel like you need those kind of people to help you through life. Like you can't just in your head always based on things that you want to do. Facts. You need to have advice from others to help you grow as a person.
Super facts. That last thing that you said was like super, super key. And I feel like this is a mistake that I oftentimes make too, because naturally I'm reserved and naturally I'm introverted. So when I do go through things, I like to isolate. That's the best way that I know how to do it, because I can be so emotional at times. Communicating is hard because my thoughts get clouded. So like I could literally put myself in a room with somebody that I'm comfortable with and just sit down and say, look, I'm gonna talk about this, I'm gonna get it off my chest, and literally choke up because there's so many thoughts and emotions I don't know what to say. Because I feel like everything that I might say will contradict itself, like anxiety, you know what I mean? But it's just like you gotta understand, bro, you can't do it by yourself, regardless of how much you might want to, or regardless of how dangerous you think it might be to let somebody close to you. Life is a feeling process, and you have to allow people into your space to help you grow. A lot of my fault, go ahead.
No, I was like, yeah, you learn, man.
Yeah, bro. Like a lot of relationships are not meant to last forever. A lot of them can just simply be karmic for the sake of you growing, that person growing, and then y'all part ways once y'all outgrow each other and move on to the next life lesson.
It's the experiences that we need, man.
Yeah, bro. You need people at the end of the day, bro. You need people to help you grow. Most I can say to keep your head in a good mental space during that process. It's like I said, control your reality. So regardless of who you're dealing with or how they may be affecting you or what your relationship with them might be, you know at the end of the day, you got yourself. And you can always step back regardless of how you do it if you feel like you need to go cold for a minute just to, you know what I mean, get back in the right headspace and realize like, okay, regardless of my attachment, I don't necessarily need this person. But as long as I'm not putting them in a position where they're uncomfortable during our interaction, I'm going to continue to grow with this person, use them to help me grow and you know what I mean, help them grow. It's all about just controlling your world. That's it.
Yeah, there's an old African proverb that said, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, take somebody with you. And that basically means that you're going to always need someone to help you, someone to push you, someone to make it forward. Can I flip it? What happens when you are the one, right, and you see someone that's struggling with anxiety? How can we approach our friends that we see that's struggling? You see there's a change. You see there's something that's different. Something ain't quite adding up. You know, how do we approach that to us?
What I do is that, you know, I like I try to help a lot of people out. What I do, I see little changes in their behavior. So I'm like, you know, I'm not gonna do it in front of a crowd. I kind of like, hey, I need to talk to you, put your side, like what's going on, and you know, kind of confront it, because you don't want to beat around the bush, you know. Like if you do that, then your intentions aren't pure, you know. Like for me, I go straight for it. I'm like, what do you need? Like, what can I do? Like, you need somebody to hear you out. I'll sit down and talk to you or listen to you the whole time. I don't say a word. Then if you need my advice, I give it to you. I think it's the best thing what you need to do. That's the best thing you need. You need to listen. I think you need to listen to those people who have anxiety and just wait.
Just being able to shut up and listen to people when things are going wrong with them. You know, you don't always have to tell somebody something. Just being there, be their soft place to fall, be their shoulder to cry on. Just be there to listen. Yeah, empathy, that's all it is.
That's a big word, especially when you're dealing with people who you might not necessarily be able to fathom that situation, but you can understand certain stresses like anxiety and stuff like that, but they may be going through something that's just like in a whole other stratosphere that you ain't never, you know what I mean? Like been in, so you don't know exactly how to tell them to get out of it. You gotta know how to empathize, bro. You gotta know how to listen, like you said, be that soft place to land on. But it's a fine line between being a soft place to land on and being like just straightforward. Okay, this is your problem. This is how we can fix it. You know what I mean? Because it's people aren't as receptive to just the quick, what do we have to do to get this fixed? You know what I mean? Especially if you're going through something, you got to know how to tap into that person's space that they're in and see how severe it is and what they need at the time. You know what I mean?
But it is so easy to try to be the savior and try to fix the problem. Well, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to do.
Right.
But a lot of times, a lot of people don't really want it fixed. They just want to be heard.
Right.
Yeah.
Heard, understood, and,
Yeah.
and comforted. You know what I mean? Like in the most cliche way sometimes.
Yeah.
Like,
You're right though, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's real.
And then sometimes it's not even trying to fix the solution and not saying it's what you need to do, but like this is what we can do if you want to do something about it. If not, then we move on and we don't dwell over it, because if you're not going to do anything about it, then
Right.
you know, let's not sit here and think about it all day, every day.
Let
Move on to the next problem.
own pace.
Right.
I'm not the friend that's gonna help you when you don't want to be helped. Like, if you allow me to come into your space and be there with you, then I will be there for you. But if I offer my help and ask if you're okay and you reject that, it's just gonna take one time for me to just let you be okay. I'm not that person. I know it sounds terrible, but I'm not that person. You just have to let people work things on their own sometimes.
It's not necessarily terrible. Like I feel like that's like from their perspective, that's a thing that's key for development. Like people ultimately, regardless of what they may be going through, they're gonna have to learn how to communicate with people. And that just goes back to me saying like you need people to help you develop. Because regardless of whether you keep that person around and you let them kind of help you and counsel you through the situation, you take their advice and you use that to help you grow, or you push them away and then you lose a resource and realize you have to either go through things by yourself or learn how to communicate. Like it's all just a part of growth and development at the end of the day. So it's not necessarily a bad thing at all.
What, and I'm gonna go back to my wonderful counselors here at Phoenix. As teenagers that's looking for assistance, or maybe parents of teenagers that see that there's a change, see that there's a shift. Abby's not acting like she normally does, or you know, Ralph is kind of, I can't pinpoint it. It's not a grounded situation. It's not a, you can't go to the movie situation. You can't go to the game. You got to give me your phone for 24 hours. It's different. What resources do we have?
Well, first, I think we need to start off at parents looking at understanding, and I think everyone said here, the most important thing is communication and being communicative. It's communication and being communicative. So that's vital in having that relationship, maybe with your parents, with your friend, or something. The second thing is listen, not to respond, but listen to hear.
Right.
You meet the person where they are. You can't change them. And it's okay if you're not that person that they can talk to. It's cool, it's understandable. But make sure when you're communicating, it's a no judgment zone. Because they're not coming to you because they want to be judged. They're coming to you to gain an understanding of what's going on with them.
Right.
Because each and every one is individuals. We are all different people. You may see the glass half full and I might see it half empty. It doesn't mean that you're right or you're wrong. We're just looking at it through different lenses.
Two opposite sides of the six.
Right. So that's one thing that we need to be concerned about. Now, when you talk about parents, Abby or Tom or Ray or whatever may be having differences, we may notice that he's having behavior issues at school. Sometimes we need to see, okay, if it's behavior issues at school, what is going on in the home? That sometimes as parents, we think that our children don't see things and don't understand things. Trust me, they see it and understand it, and they're acting out. So we have to make sure that that line of communication is open. And if you need help here in Gastonia, we have a program at Phoenix Counseling called the Rewards Program. It is mobile outreach, response, engagement. Too many acronyms. Stabilization. You know. So what is that program? It's a program that we have. If you call our mobile crisis line, we will work with the children from ages 4 to 21 years old. We will work with them for 4 to 8 weeks. If you don't have insurance, if you have insurance, it doesn't matter. We're still going to help you. And at that time, I'm one of the clinicians that definitely call and talk to the children, but also we connect you with services. So when you leave us, we have you linked with someone in a therapeutic setting. Okay, and then for our adults who are like 21 and over, we also have what we call Phoenix Connect. It's over at Gaston. everyone can go there as well. So you can come there, we'll do assessment with you, and then at that time, we will link you to services in the community. Some services in the community are state funded, meaning that if you don't have insurance, that you may be eligible, and then some are not state funded. Some services, if the child needs medication, like support aid, outreach management, one of those, we will refer those to those individuals. So at the end of the day, what we want people to be is productive component individuals, but also mentally prepared. Okay, and it's just some things I want to go back to that you guys, said while they were talking, and I took notes. You talk about the imposter syndrome, which is important. I think a lot of people in this community or young adults, let me clarify that, you guys struggle with that more than anyone. Because you're trying to have two faces, two facades. You have what we say external and what you have internal. External, you're happy-go-lucky, you that dude, you that person, you that star athlete, you're the life of the party. But externally, when you get home, you share like you weren't happy. Like even though you were the stellar athlete, but when you got home, nobody knew your brokenness. Because you were afraid to communicate that because you felt, and correct me if I'm wrong, that if you communicate that, that's a sign of weakness.
Well, I live in like my family, we're Hispanic family, and my mom, my dad was there in the picture. My mom had spent for us, so my grandma was there. My grandma always taught me, he said, men don't cry, men doesn't have feelings, men can't do this and that. So at that point when I was getting high school, that's Ashburn is really open and really diverse. So like when I got there, it was different. Like you can do this, you can do that, you can feel this. So at that point, I was just like, I can't show that. Like I was always putting up this front. Later on, people who changed my life, principals, coaches, they all changed me and said like it's okay to do it. That's when I started realizing who I really was. Like without basketball, I realized who I really am without it. Like I had this persona, like you said, and it's kind of showing me who I really am. And to this day, me and my mom communicate way better because I took that first step and said, hey, I need to get some stuff out, to get talked about. So,
and also, thank you for sharing that. It's also about family dynamics and ethnic groups as well. Like you said, you're Hispanic. We have certain people, may they be Caucasian, people of color, Caribbean, the way how they perceive mental health, the way how they think about it, even from a spiritual aspect too. Because some people look at having mental health as a demonic spirit. You understand? So those components play a very important part of you showing up, being your authentic self or your ideal self. And sometimes you can't be that when you have that imposter syndrome. And I'm not talking to you, I'm sorry.
No, you good. Don't worry. That's fine.
But so that was it. And then we talked about, people were talking about how they felt with anxiety. We have something in therapy that we call the big T, big trauma and small trauma. Okay, so the big trauma is more intense and acute. It's less frequent, right? But when we talk about small trauma, that has the most effect in a person's life. And the reason is that because that has a lot to do with your family dynamics. Like say, for example, you have a mother or a father who's very critical, that talks down to you. People don't realize, when you're younger, sometimes your parents may say, you're just like your father. You're not going to do this. That talk marinates in your mind. It creates that person all your life. Someone's telling you that you would never amount to anything. That's what that small trauma is. And that's where we come in and we have this perfectionist demeanor. And that's where anxiety comes from, because you want to be the best person. And I would say to you guys, learn to be your authentic self. Learn to know who you are, because once you learn who you are, then you can walk and put your best foot forward and be the best representation of yourself. So the last thing you guys talked about was ridding yourself from anxiety. How do you do that? You learn appropriate coping skills. Okay, and then also work on your breathing. Just as a runner, I'm like you, I ran track since I was 6 until I was like 21 years old. Breathing was always important for us. That's like anxiety. You take control of that. One of the things sometimes we'll tell people, stop in the room and count how many things that's red in the room to bring you back in, to take control. So that's another thing. And knowing yourself and being comfortable with yourself, like he said, I think one of y'all said about social media, that is like a blessing and a curse. But you have to know how to use it wisely. Don't let social media use you, okay? Look at it for what it's worth. Don't make more out of it. The last thing is that someone said about people, hang around people that's gonna teach you how to fly, but not choke you. You understand? And people, that's gonna match your energy and your drive. You know, I have 2 sons and I always tell them, remember the 3 Ds, dedication, determination, and drive. And that is the type of individuals that you guys need to hang around with. And once you start doing that, productivity starts in the mind. And if you have negative or toxicity in the mind, it will affect and eat away at your whole body. The last thing is how to approach your friends. Like I said, you know, talk to them versus talking through them. You know, everybody want to keep it 100 and keep it gully. Keeping it 100 and keep it gully doesn't mean that you're a true friend. The way how you approach a person is more receptive. The way how you have the conversation with them and be there. Sometimes silence is golden. You don't have to say nothing. Just knowing that you are there and you showed up means a lot to them. And empathy, that's what's wrong with a lot of young people, some people today, that they lack empathy. Empathy is something that everyone should have because it's going to make you a better person. And I think that's it. And just learning to the process. When you talk to someone, they just want to process things. That's what we do in counseling. You know, we merely have a conversation. We just process information. We tell you, we don't tell you, you tell us, and we just put it back to you to say, oh, do you think that that made sense? That's merely what it is. So anxiety, if you learn to control it and apply the appropriate coping skills, learn to breathe in, and just make sure that you hang around, everything for you is peace. If you have peace, then you will have peace in the mind and it won't affect your body, okay?
Good stuff, good stuff.
You had asked about resources, and I just wanted to put out there that so Mobile Crisis has a hotline. It's 855-527-4747.
One more time, say it slow.
Oh, sorry, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, so I don't pretty fast. 855-527-4747, where you could literally order a therapist like a pizza, like for free. Like we'll come out. If you want us to, you can talk to us on the phone. We also have the new Connects at Phoenix, which is basically a 24/7 urgent care for mental health and substance use. So you can walk in, that's also at no cost to anybody. So I wanted to put those out there, but when in doubt, like the crisis is defined by the person having it, right? Everyone's crisis is different. So don't say, okay, well, I don't know if this is bad enough to call. Just call. Maybe you just need to hear like a human voice, you know, or someone that isn't gonna, you can share something with that it's not gonna come back and kick you in the butt later or show up on someone else's newsfeed, right? So, I mean, just call. And then the second thing is I'm hearing a lot of perfectionism and, you know, having to have that representative and that mask. And I'm curious how many people in here have watched Encanto and felt seen. You know, how many of y'all are Luisa? You know, give it to them, they're the strong one. How many of y'all are Isabella? You have to be perfect to keep the family happy. How many of y'all are Bruno, where the weight of your gift, whether it's athleticism or intelligence or whatever, makes you feel like you've got to hide, it's just too heavy. So if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend seeing it. But also something I like about that movie is just, these are exactly things, like when I hear, talk about relating through song, like, you know, and I see some of y'all smiling up there, like, so you know what I'm talking about.
My mom.
Oh, yeah. You have an awesome mom.
That's it, about social anxiety. Just because you have social anxiety, you're still capable of socializing with people. And it's not like you're going to shy away, it's just that sometimes in a big setting, you just prefer to be over in your corner than, you know, socializing. And hopefully, as you move on and you go to college, you can work on that. And like this is my supervisor, Kristen. And she is awesome. But just learn that communicating, don't hold that in, because when you hold stuff in, I would like to tell clients sometimes, it's like slowly drinking poison waiting to die, and it will explode. And you don't want that to happen. So if you need to reach out to someone, like Kristen said, we're always there to talk. Sometimes we could be on the phone with the client for 3 hours. They just needed someone to listen. So take advantage of that. And journal also. Write down your thoughts, okay?
One more time, that number for the Phoenix Counseling Center Mobile Crisis Line is 855-527-4747. Man, parents and students alike, man, make sure you have that number down. It's a great thing. So I want to have some fun. I'm going to take a quick pause from the deep stuff for a second and just have some fun. So there was a word, and I'm going to ask the audience. Y'all can't answer these questions. I'm going to ask the audience for some giveaways. I got some giveaways I want to give, and I just want to see how well you guys were listening. So there was a word that came out that talked about basically having on a mask and having to feel like you had to be one way or one way this way or one way this way, and you had to put on this facade. What was that word? Who can tell me? Okay, let me get out my gifts. I guess I'm gonna do something. It's a tumbler. There's a whole bunch of tumblers. Ooh, Snoop Dogg tumbler. Snoop, all right. What else we got? All right. So, anybody? Any answers? Any takers? What's mental health? No, that's not the word. What's the word? It's like we gotta fake the funk. Like we gotta be this over here because people look at us a certain way. And I'm gonna give you a hint. The young gentleman on the far left, he's the one that said the word. Any takers? Nothing? Starts with an I. Starts with an I, right? That starts with an I, right? Yes. That's what I thought.
I can answer?
No, you can't answer. Any takers? Come on, gotta guess.
The word's pretty big though.
Like Wheel of Fortune, add another letter.
Was it Iceland?
I add another letter? All right, give me another letter.
Can I give you a hint instead
Give
of
me a
another
hint,
letter?
give me a hint, go ahead.
It's 2 words. It's not just one.
2 words.
Antisocial?
I like it.
I like you think Malaco said it start with an I. Start with an I. The first word start with an I. The second word, I'm not going to tell you what it start with, but it's 2 words.
Give me another letter. Give me the second letter to the first word.
Yes.
You going that third letter?
I-S.
Well, not I, yes, my fault. I gave you the first one.
It's the second word. I was like, I-D.
This time I forgot the word.
No takers. What's the word?
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. Anybody know what an imposter is? It's kind of like a traitor, or imposter is you're faking to be somebody. Like you're not a rapper, you're an imposter. You act like a rapper. All right, give me. You tried it. No, you tried it. You didn't try it. You tried it. You got one. Come on, Sweet Pea. You tried it too. You said antisocial? Did you say who said antisocial? He said antisocial. Okay, so you already got one. All right, let's get another one. Which panel member runs track?
The girl.
I saw your face. Who runs track?
Me?
Like you, a panel member. Which panel member?
Abby.
Abby runs track. All right, come on up here. All right. Let's see. There was a panel member that played golf. The boy. It's 3 boys up here.
The one that
Come get a tumbler. Come get a tumbler. You already got one. I need somebody else.
It's like name cards.
There you go. Come get a tumbler. A cup. They're called tumblers, right? I think you're gonna get the third. Go ahead and get the straw too. All right, panelists, y'all got a question you want to ask? See if they were listening. Make it fun.
That's basketball.
Nah, he didn't play football.
Basketball.
I know, did you play football?
No.
Didn't play football. I know you're a basketball player.
Everybody wanted me to, but I never did.
I'm like, you're the heaviest lifter at Ashbrook and you didn't play football?
Yeah.
Like your coaches were like, dude.
Oh, Coach James to this day he's mad at me.
Yeah, he's upset. He's upset.
Mello know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
He is upset. All right. Let's see. What else you? Oh, I got some other stuff in here. Go ahead, panelists. Ask a question.
To win this stuff or just in general?
To win this stuff.
Yeah, I think something that was said that they can
Yeah, something that was talked about today that they can win something off of.
I got one.
Keychains.
Abby, just help me out. What school does Amar go to?
All right, hold on. Let's get somebody who hasn't picked yet.
Let me see.
I need somebody who hasn't picked yet. Y'all got something. Get somebody who hasn't won yet. Ahmad. Okay, first of all, Ahmad, raise your hand. That's Ahmad. What school did you go to? Highland. Come get one. Come get your stuff. Highland School of Technology. I know you're an athlete. You look like you're an athlete. Tell me where you play. Are you an athlete? Where you do? Where you play? Basketball. All right, what school? Ashbrook. All these Ashbrook Greenway. Any Huskies in the house? No Huskies in the house at all. Let's see what we got. Any Stuart Kramer?
Oh, my fault.
Oh, you got a question? Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Come on.
Which school in Gaston County did I go to?
You said you didn't go to no
My man.
He got it.
Who got it?
He said it first. He got one. He done got about 3 gifts.
Here you go.
Let's spread the love though. He also answered as well. Come on up. That was a great question. Yeah, that's a great question. I like what you think.
All right, I got one.
All right, Ahmad.
What's the name of the place?
Oh, you got to get you like a guy gift, right? I mean, you got you all these girl gifts.
Yeah.
All these girl gifts. Here you go.
Did you feel I'm in a straw? Oh, you gotta come too.
You gotta come too. You got a straw. Oh, man. Somebody had another question?
Yeah. Okay, so what's the name of the counseling center?
Oh, nice. Let's give me the first name.
It's named after an NBA team.
It started with a 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Phoenix?
Yeah.
Phoenix. Phoenix is correct.
Phoenix Suns?
Phoenix Nelson. Hello, Jesus. All right. Dude, I know we're running out of time. I was trying
I think the food is here.
Yeah, food is here. Listen, I want to thank all of you guys for participating. Can you guys do me a favor? Give a hand to these panelists. Thank you guys so much.
I got one final prize.
One final
But y'all gotta be quick to the draw on this. So I'm gonna give y'all a head start. Get your phone out. You gotta have your phone out. But
Well, I got 2 more prizes. I'm
oh,
sorry.
you got okay. I do the grand finale.
You do the grand finale.
Yeah.
I got prizes for our panelists here. All right, this is good. This got to be good questions though, because these are $10 gift cards to Amazon.
Okay. No, it does.
Yeah. So pay attention.
Go copy them LED lights for my bed.
All right, here we go. First one goes to who can tell me where am I an executive pastor at? Wow. Okay. All right, you were listening. All right. You cheater. That's okay. You remember. At least you remember the name of the church. All right. Tell me, what school does Abby go to?
Gaston Christian. Gaston.
Sean, you already got a prize.
You already got a prize. All right. Let me ask another question. I gotta get a good one. Give me one, Abby. You can't give me a question. Give me a question. I need another question. One more question. Wait, all the panelists have come with a question except for you.
Well, she gave me one. She gave me one.
Oh, you gave Ahmad one.
No, she gave me one.
Oh, she gave you one. Gotcha. All right, let me get a question then. What's the name of the chief of police here in Gastonia Police Department?
Harry?
Close. Starts with a T. You're exactly right. It's not Terry. Chief. It does start with a T. It's not Terry though.
Well, I'm glad I don't know the police name.
He was here. He was here. He was the first guy. He was the first guy. He was the first guy that talked.
Give us another hint.
What letter?
What's the next letter?
So the next letter. You got it?
Travis.
Chief Travis. Okay, I got to give it to you. Chief Travis. Travis Britton. Chief Travis Britton is his name. All right. Grand finale prize.
Oh,
Here we go.
grand finale.
Here it is.
All right, so here's, everybody should have came in and they should have asked y'all to download the Raw 704 app, right? Ooh, all right, y'all give me a miss out. So it's $50, whoever can answer this question. I'm gonna give you, I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to download the app. All you gotta do is scan that QR code.
So right now, up for grabs is a $50 gift.
No, it's cash.
Oh, $50 cash gift. Cash prize, $50 for the next
If you
question.
don't have the app, you can't answer the question.
Look, their parents are like, hey, can we get it on the prize?
So they're trying to bust
25 seconds.
Y'all better
Go
go
grab your phone, the Wi-Fi phone. Go grab your phone, quick.
20 seconds to
My internet
count.
is slow. Say, can I grab my phone? Parents are like, here, get your phone.
All right, we're gonna
Dad, I know I'm grounded, but this is $50.
20 more seconds in counting.
20.
19, 18, 7, internet. All right, everybody got it? Well, the first person that can name.
All right, here we go. Here's the question.
Listen, I'm only gonna say it once.
I give up my phone. I get that going slow.
The last 3 songs that played on Raw 704.
Butterflies.
Best friend.
Somebody
There.
What is it? I think she got it.
Butterflies, best friend, and Maybach.
Is that right? I ain't been on there. No, I'm cheating. All right, that's cool.
All right, Shamia has won the $50 gift prize. Shamaya. I asked you before what your name was. I tried to get it. Shamaya. How you doing? $50 gift prize. Listen, I want to thank everybody. First of all, can we give it up to Raw 704 and Nate? Thank you guys so much, whole team. Thank you guys, engineers.
How many people are already familiar with Raw 704? How many people knew what this was before you got here? One.
I've always wanted to come and build it.
All right, so this is your hometown station. Raw 704 plays all of the music that y'all love to hear. It's streaming, so we don't, like right now we have 2 sides of the station. So we have one side where we actually do stuff that's live, where you'll hear actually talking. There's another side that only plays music. So it's your playlist, right? But this is based in your backyard. This is your hometown. This is your Hot 97. This is your Power 98. This is Gastonia station, but it's internet, so we're worldwide with it. So you guys now have the app. Tap in. We do have celebrity interviews that are coming through. We're gonna do stuff like this on a regular basis. We have a team party that we throw in here. I think we did the Ashbrook Hunter Huss after party game last football season. So just understand, like, this station is for you guys. If any of you want to get a show, if you ever thought about being on the radio, we are getting ready to start taking auditions, and we're going to create a show for high schoolers, teenagers. It's going to be about y'all. Y'all can talk fashion, y'all can talk music, y'all whatever y'all want to talk, right? So tap into the station so you can make sure you know when the auditions take place. And how many did y'all actually enjoy today? Did y'all feel like this was a dope vibe? Yeah. Something y'all could get into? What if we did this every Saturday? Is this something y'all could just check in with us and come in and chop it up? And again, if you notice, like, we kept the parents out of here, right? This is just y'all space. That I got talking to, like, I don't be asking.
Yeah.
Don't say that nobody ever asked.
It'll be good for y'all.
I mean, this is the thing. Like, you guys have to understand, like, we are y'all's generals, and we've been through the spaces that y'all been in, right? But you guys are getting ready to walk into a whole new reality into the world. So what y'all been deprived of is through this whole COVID space, everybody's been locked down. I know y'all ready to get back outside. This is the space where we can come in and start that process, and we can do it in a smooth, safe environment. So we got pool tables in the back, we got ping pong tables in the back, there's a recording studio in the back. We got some food in the back right now, so I guess as Pastor Colin closes it out, you guys can go in the back, get some food, shoot some food, chop it up with your peers, talk about, you know what I mean, kind of what went down today, and whatever y'all want to talk about. This is the chill spot. And this is Dizzy. This is the guy who actually built the sound of the station, so y'all give him a round of applause, please.
On the app, hit menu, and you see where it says shout out. It'll record you. You can send a shout out to us. Go ahead and state your
And then
name.
play on the air.
So, love the station, was dope, whatever, you know, and we can play it back on Raw Live, okay?
There's a chat room. So we have live DJs that are on Friday nights. If y'all want to listen to a live DJ, y'all can go in there, and then in the chat room, y'all can chop it up in the chat room about, you know what I mean, whatever's going on. So it's a lot that we're building for you guys. So I hope you guys tap in.
How much is it for a recording session?
For you, brother? Man, I don't know. We're going to work it out. We'll work it out.
They're trying to cut records, man.
But and that's the other thing too, though. Just understand what this space truly is. It's an educational space. So if any of you are ever have been interested or had a desire in learning radio broadcasting, you want to learn music, if you want to learn production, audio engineering, if you want to learn how to run a radio station, we're actually developing programs where we can come in here and we can teach you guys this whole process. So again, just come up. We're on the website. If you want to come in and ask questions, we're here. All right.
Thanks again. I've got another resource for mental health partners, health management. This is the telephone number of the partners is 888-235-4673. That's 888-235-4673 to Partners Health Management. I want to thank Gaston Police Departments and Sergeant Southern, Captain Hall, Captain Biggerstaff, Chief Britton, I don't know who else was in here, all of your police department, they really want to have a better relationship with the youth and with our community, and so they've sponsored this along with some churches. I saw the Brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi here in Gastonia. Thank you guys, the Nukes. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. I appreciate it. I see Dr. Hinton from Tabernacle. He's here. Thank you so much. That's my pastor. Yep. I appreciate you guys.
Can we get a big photo, everybody?
Yeah, okay, before you guys leave, we're going to take a big photo, but again, thank you for the panelists for coming and hanging out with us. God bless y'all.
Okay, some phone shots for everybody on the panel. You get behind him too. Oh, me too.
Y'all bear with us for 1 second, because we definitely want to capture this moment. There's history in the making, believe that.
All right, that's nice. Everybody can take a shot. Nice. Very nice.
All right, then where you want to put everybody in? Let's get everybody in one spot. What do we think? Y'all can just let's line in front of the desk, y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all just pop in front of the desk.
Well, some of y'all can come behind here.
Well, yeah, y'all can get behind it. You got some camera? Yeah. Your shot gonna be better than my shot. And then you can get some in the front too. Y'all don't have to stand all behind it. You can pile up in the front. We got some music over there. Who's the engineer? What we got? Dizzy, give us some music. 3, 2, 1, smile.
3, 2, 1.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, so definitely go get some food. It's free. There's some drinks back there. If y'all don't know how to shoot pool, please don't tear up the table. One more.
Very important.
You're digging into the table like, bro.
Nice.
So,
very nice.
All right, y'all give yourselves a round of applause, man.